Why do you think so many new businesses fail? Small business owners. You all know how business works. I bet there's times you see someone new starting out and go, that will never work because of things you see that others without the experience don't. Sometimes it's obvious to people like me who know nothing about business too. Like when a relative started a clothing line based with zero market research. Anyway, when you see new people starting out, what are the most common errors you see? Poor cash flow management. Running a startup requires an unusual array of skills not generally found in one person: financial fluency, emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, resiliency, grit, focus, plus capital. Very few people can pull it off. At best, most people create a job for themselves, not an enduring business. Thinking their passion project is a viable business without actually considering the market. People most often lack systems. Then the bigger flaw becomes that they don't know what's not working and what is. So they continue doing random things hoping for good outcomes instead of knowing where to unstick themselves. Also, not knowing your offer and who it's for. People generally have a half-created offer that they put in front of the wrong people. It's like pouring gasoline on SHT and then asking everyone who comes in contact with your products service to go and tell as many people about it as humanly possible as fast as they can. Taxes. Most people don't understand them. Mostly payroll tax. By the time they figure it out, they're too far in the hole to recover. People usually start a business in something they are knowledgeable about without realizing that making a good product or service is only a small part of what makes a good business. Marketing is hard. Standing out from your competition is hard. Managing a staff is hard. But I think the number one problem is probably underestimating costs. They make near or around the revenue they were hoping for and realize they still aren't really making much money. I work with a lot of small business owners. I'm actually surprised so many of them are still open. Most owners are absolutely clueless on how to operate with efficiency or skill. Never filled out a business plan and ego. People thinking they have to come up with some new idea or concept. Not understanding there's a good reason nobody else is selling it because there's no market or it's not profitable. Well, I have a retail store in a beach. Whenever it rains, we are so busy I can't even handle it. But for the last 3 months it's been 80 and perfect every single weekend. That mixed in with people being extra tight with money right now has led to a 60 loss in sales over the past 3 months. So there's that. They have no idea what they're doing. They have not made a realistic business plan. They have not done their market research. They have not done their due diligence to see if they have any kind of edge in the market. They are not prepared for the amount of work it is going to take. They are underfunded. Not solving a problem, not talking to customers to understand their needs. Not factoring in a salary for themselves. A lot of failures have to do with standard business knowledge. COGS, inventory control, fixed costs versus variable costs, customer acquisition, demand calculation, marketing, etc., etc., etc. If you know majority of these factors, then you know if your idea will be sustainable or not, and you can forecast what's needed to make your business profitable. Most people are not natural learners, i.e. they don't think to or desire to spend 3 or 4 hours each week to learn. This spells their death knell at some point. Plus, many PPL can't even read an income statement. So, most have an idea about the business they're in but not about business. Are there any papers on this? I'd like to read something in depth on it. They can't learn from the mistakes of others. You don't succeed making every mistake. They don't have any tolerance for reality. If some fact or data or practice contradicts the dream, it has got to go. There goes market research. They won't adapt to succeed because they want success on their terms. Success has to drag its body over broken glass to smooch their kicks, and that won't happen. They won't follow any rules of business when they consider themselves the exception to rules. This is why everybody knows they shouldn't do business with friends, family, but so many go ahead and do just that. So many reasons. I think the primary reasons are no business knowledge, experience, lack of marketing knowledge, no patience. I think most businesses give up before they really get started because they want to see immediate results. There is a restaurant site near my house that has changed hands at least every 2 years since I've lived here. It is just obviously not a good spot for a restaurant. But inevitably someone comes along, leases it, opens a new restaurant, and then shutters within 2 years. People trying to convert an interest into a business without direct experience working in that industry. For example, don't start a cafe if you've never worked as a barista and manager. Building a business, then trying to find people to buy what you're selling. It's so much easier and effective to identify a need that people have, then build a business around that. For example, there are probably enough candle stores already. If you want to start a candle business, you're fighting an uphill battle. On the other hand, I have a client that runs a mobile dentistry business. I personally don't know anyone who doesn't hate going to the dentist. A lot of reasonably well off people would happily pay to have a dentist that comes to them. Build a business that solves an actual problem and you're much more likely to succeed. Owners hire too quick. Instead of waiting to have the customer base to support adding more employees, they are quick to lower their workload and replace it with more expenses. The owners I see that succeed the longest are working 60 hours a week until they no longer have to. Incompetence or lack of knowledge with running a business. Tax avoidance. Partners that steal from one another. Making money is hard. Employees steal. Most extant businesses are marginal and the few very successful ones have some sort of edge or moat. That's hard to replicate. No employee handbook. Thinking face. I think it's due to the multiple factors that go into creating and running a successful business. There are so many variables to consider, systems to have in place, strategies to test and implement, stress to manage and time to manage that more often than not. New business owners get overwhelmed and ultimately fail. Lack of planning and forethought would be among top reasons, I think. Lack of business skills. So many reasons. So little time. Just read the stories on here and you know why. I bought a franchise, insert long post, and I'm losing money. What should I do? Posts. And you just go woman facepalming, medium light skin tone. I want to start a business but we blew through the money bag, long post. Now what man facepalming? And so on. Having a product is the easiest part of business. Anyone can make a burger better than McDonald's. Most people do not have the math and accounting skills to keep it profitable. Loans. It's more than just cash management. I've seen loans suck the passion out of the most excited startup founders. Too much leverage and you're basically an employee of the bank with severance due to the bank if you quit. Yes, there are tax benefits, but honestly I advocate for a zero loan if you can. But what about the saying that you should use someone else's money to finance risky projects? That doesn't really apply since they will garnish your soul with all the clauses and safeguards they have for themselves. Entrepreneurial seizure. You all know how business works. Ha 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 ha. Expand too quickly. Rely on friends daily to be their customers. Cheap out OB materials, ingredients. Don't treat employees right.